Hi, everyone. We are back and we are in week 5. Did you get a gum formula? It's good to see everybody. I know some people are driving, some people are working. So this is going to be a recording to help everybody. And again, since some of you cannot make it, please reach out on Voxer and let me know if there's anything that I can do for you. But this is week 5, and this is where we're going to talk about creating your simple system, finishing up what you've started, and moving on down the road so that all your piles have now turned into files. So let's get going. Today, we're going to talk about, we're going to check in if anybody is available. And I'd like to know what's happening, like what's happening with what you're doing, with what you're seeing, and how it's going, just basically how it's going, what's going on with you. And let me know what's happening there. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we're going to pop into it. So today's agenda is just checking in. And if you can't check in physically right now during this call, please check in and let me know what's happening via Voxer or email. Because I'd like to know what needs to be finished, right? What you've done so far, where you're at, and how it's going. And I'd like you to continue working your action system. So bare minimum, your action system should be done. And it should be in action, right? Paper should be coming into their life, landing where they need to land, moving through the process, and then exiting either into tax folders or out of your life completely if you're done with the project. So taxes. Now, if anybody has their tax filing system done, I would love to see pictures of that. Shoot pictures, let me know, send them over into your Google Doc, and let's see what's going on with that. I'd love to know whether you've decided whether or not you're going to go by month because you're using QuickBooks or Quicken or a computer software, or whether you're going by tax line item. And if you are going by tax line item, if you had any questions looking at your tax return, if you have a Schedule C, did you actually put the folders that are on your Schedule C? In other words, for me, I have like office expenses, car mileage, although that's now tracked a different way, dues and subscriptions, education, so on and so forth. So, with your tax folders, just make sure that it is actually following along the line of what you're putting in your tax return. And I think we talked about that last time, but you're to pull out your tax return, see what specific things you've categorized and itemized and written off for the IRS. And those are the folders that you should have made for your tax file system. Or bare minimum, if you're not using the categories in the actual files themselves, but you're using monthlies, make sure that on your computer system, be it Quicken, QuickBooks, Wave, whatever you're using, that those categories are represented. That way, whenever you go to tax next year, you've got your line items, easy, breezy, right? So we'll talk about where you should have your files hanging, your different folders. Once you get them all assembled, we'll talk about that. But the hanging files in your file cabinet are very, very important. Having rails and having file cabinets that hang the folders is super important, because otherwise you're back to piles, right? So the whole idea behind this is that we're actually putting everything vertical. Everything's staying vertical in your life so that you can find it quickly, easily, and effortlessly. So, in the business file system, let's talk about where drawers could kind of be, right? In the business file system, your resource file drawer would be kind of close because you're using it. And we're going to talk about what files should be in what drawers. And I have seen a few of your layouts as far as where your file cabinets are. And I'd like to work with each one of you individually on what to put in each drawer. Generally, the drawer that's closest to you is what I consider your $1 million real estate, right? And that's going to be the drawer that you're going to have probably your tax receipts and actually, probably reference and resource if you're in business. If not, you could have other things there like policies, because those are going to be used more frequently. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so we covered the fundamentals of papers. And if you remember, I'm just going to refresh your brain here, that any piece of paper is going to fall into one of 6 categories, okay? The first category is action, which I talked about a little bit earlier. The papers in action, the papers that you need to do stuff with right now, that's going to be in your stepper. Hopefully at this point in time, you have your stepper device, right? And your folders for your action are in here. And it would be, bills, calls, current projects, upcoming events, data entry, so on and so forth, and are pending. And so that's category 1. Category 2 are policies. And in the policies folder, if you remember that they're hazard flashing light orange and they say remove, replace right at the top, because when you get a new paper, you're going to throw the old paper out. It's a remove, replace system that keeps your papers flowing out of your life, and it avoids the piles for future reference. The next category is tax, which I just touched on. And tax is going to be odd year, even year. So you're going to have 2 mirror image systems for your tax returns or for your tax receipts, odd year, even year. Because let's face it, right now at the bottom of the year, next January, we're going to be still receiving receipts for this year, but we don't want them to commingle with January's receipts, right? So we have odd year, even year. And then the actual 0 through 9 are your tax archives. The returns and the receipts go with that 0 through 9. Okay, so that's the tax. The next category is permanent. And as we've discussed earlier, there's not that much in your life that's permanent, which is pretty good. Before you put this system together, almost everything in your life was permanent, right? And now, not that much is permanent. We have education records. We have medical test results, not bills. We have possibly genealogy. And then we have pet records, and they're semi-permanent, right? Sadly, they don't live as long as us. And then we have other semi-permanent things like warranties for your computer and your printer and all that good stuff. So really, regarding permanent, there's really not that much that's truly permanent. That's a good thing. The next category is reference and resource. Now, if you're in business, you do have some of your own reference and resource materials. If you're not in business, you probably don't have that much stuff that is a reference or a resource that you can't find better, faster, quicker later on Google. So those are the 5 categories. The 6th category is shred or trash, okay? So those are the fundamentals of your system. Now you've created your action system in week 2. In week 3, we've organized for taxes. And week 4, we've simplified and filed the remaining papers. Hopefully you've put together your policies and your permanents and ditched a lot of the reference and got that in there. And today we're going to talk about the landscape, right? What is the landscape of your filing system? In other words, where are things going to live, right? So here's the thing. Organizing is not a gift, right? It's a learned activity. It makes your life so much easier. And think about how much value you have that you've invested right now in yourself, because you're worth learning how to become more masterful. And that's why we're here in the class, right? To become masters of our papers so that our papers aren't masters of us. So the idea of touch it once, and you want to touch it once, if at all possible. Once you have the system put in place, you can probably touch it once. And if you're not touching it once, it probably means that you're postponing decisions, right? Because once you have the system put into place, there's no reason that you cannot touch it once. The mail comes in, you're going to dump it into the particular folder and be done with it until it's time to deal with it, right? So if you're not touching it once, it means that you're probably postponing decisions. Now, the idea is that we're creating new habits, right? And we're getting past the procrastination situation. And as you begin getting into the process, you'll realize that habits take about 6 weeks before it's solid in your mind. So if at this point you're like, I can't find things, I don't know where things are, I'm very confused about the system, that's normal. Okay, that's normal. It takes 4 to 6 weeks to actually change your habits. So don't beat yourself up. You want to eliminate the habits that are holding you back. And now you know the right way to file, right? Now you know where papers should go. But it's not going to be solid in your brain yet. You're going to have to work on making it solid in your brain so that you can actually remember and do it, right? So the people in this course, I've shown you how to break these practices down into winnable sessions. And once you've done this and all your papers are in the system, you'll get a sense of completion and you're going to experience winning. Okay. Right now, you've experienced winning in small, digestible, consumable action steps, and you're going to win more and more and more. A lot of people still go back and ask me, why is it 6 weeks, right? Why does it take 6 weeks to learn how to put a tab on a file? Well, it doesn't really. It takes 6 weeks to remember what tab you put on what paper and where to find it. And then as we work together, you could have questions like, does it make sense to turn it into digital? Should I spend time going digital? And here's the thing. Once you know how to file all of your papers, you're going to know if you decide to go digital, which might not be now, but it might be a year from now, you're going to know how to categorize them and put them into your hard drive, right? And I do have another course called the Get It Done Formula, which actually helps you find your digital files and organize your digital files, but it's all based on this same principle and this same concept. So that's why I love people to start, and I commend you for starting with your paper piles, because once you understand the enormity of your paper piles, you're also going to know the enormity of your digital files, and you're going to know where to put them much, much easier. Okay. So organizing your papers and your files maximizes your time, takes a lot less effort, and it creates new patterns in your life, right? You learn how to prioritize. You learn how to filter things through, in, and out of your life, right? That's why I'm a paper flow specialist, because these papers, and you are too now that you're doing the system, your papers are flowing in, staying, and then leaving your life. That's the whole idea. And it helps you get rid of the things that distract you from your purpose, right? Whatever distracts you from your purpose holds you back from maximizing your true potential, and holds you back from making more money, holds you back from having more time for your family. So this is the practice that you're doing right now, is you're actually learning how to remove the distractions that have been holding you back. So this is the day that you're looking at the 6 categories, you're seeing what you've done, what you haven't done, where you are with the system, and you're going to barrel through and keep going. Okay. Hopefully at this point, you have your action, your permanent, your taxes done, and maybe you're still working on your policies and your reference materials. But this is the thing, that you want to finish all these categories. So remember, as you go through the process, that, the question to toss or not to toss, right? That's the question. That's always a question. Remember that the 80-20 Pareto principle is alive and well, actually, in almost everything that I've ever studied in life and in my life. 20% of what I do is important. 80% of what I do is really not. It's like busyness. The same thing comes with your papers. Only 20% of the papers do you really need. So you want to toss about 80% of your papers. Every time that I put together a system in this class or one-on-one with clients, 80% gets chucked out the door. So realize and hopefully see that you're getting rid of 80% of the papers as you go through the system. You're going to realize that 80% don't really mean anything to your bottom line. So, only 20% of these papers in your desk, in your office, are actually necessary in your life. The other 80% represent clutter. And this clutter forms mystery piles, right? It makes it really hard for you to focus, because you've got mystery piles, or things that really don't have anything to do with your life as we know it right now. And as you start tossing and getting rid of, a lot of my clients, when I start, they're like, I can't get rid of it, can't get rid of it. They're holding on tight to their stuff and to their papers. And once you start this process, which you already have, of letting go, you're going to realize it gets easier and easier and easier to let go of the things that no longer serve you. Like, you're not stuck in the past anymore. Every paper in your life has a purpose. And when the purpose is gone, is done, it's gone, right? That's the idea behind this whole system, right? So you want to eliminate the papers that don't mean anything to you. And this course has shown you how to do this in bite-sized, winnable sessions, right? And that's the whole idea, is to have consumable action steps where you can actually have completion and get things done. So I'd love to hear about your wins. Write me, put it in chat, do whatever you want. Let me know what wins you've done. I want you to treat yourself to a win, right? Maybe you've done your action system. Maybe your taxes are now filed and ready for Uncle Sam. Maybe you've caught up on back taxes that you haven't done. Maybe your permanent files are gone and you've chucked like 50,000 pounds of stuff that you thought was permanent. Whatever it is, I'd love you to take the time to spend 10 minutes to celebrate your wins and let me know too. Okay. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions about your action system? Does it make sense? I remember when I first started the action system, the pending really threw me off. I didn't think pending. I thought waiting for response. So I made it and I turned it into waiting for response. That's what makes sense to me. Other people who've been in a corporate background, pending makes total sense because you're used to using that word. So you want to customize your system to whatever works for you, right? That's the whole idea behind this system. And every new practice requires due diligence before it becomes a habit. When you add a new activity to your routine, you need to do it for 4 to 6 weeks, right? I'm going to keep emphasizing that 4 to 6 weeks. That's why this class is 5 or 6 weeks. And there is a question in mind on whether you want a class next week or not. So I'd like to know, do you want me to continue forward and follow through on week 6? Or do you feel like you're pretty well done with stuff at this point? Yeah, let me know that. I really want to know. And what you want to do is finish for your homework, okay? If you're not done, I want you to finish sorting and purging your papers. Oh, nice typo. I want you to create the remaining labels that are not made. I want you to assemble your folders and file it into a new system. Remember, you're going to clear off your desk. You're going to sort your action and non-action. You're going to actually create the labels that haven't been created yet. And you're going to assemble your folders and you're going to file into the new system. Now, there is a thing that I have group coaching session going on. It's called the Insiders Power Hour, the Get It Done Power Hour, where I meet with people 2 hours a week and I help them keep going. So if that's something that you're interested in, I just want to talk to you a little bit about it. And so the Get It Done Open Office Power Hours help you up-level your productivity and create the cash flow that you deserve. You can go and you can check out the Power Hour. And one of my clients said, look, having the weight of clutter lifted from my space is huge, right? The overwhelming feeling of not being able to wade through all my stuff seemed insurmountable. This is a really super talented graphic artist. She's so talented that she actually created a font that's being used right now that you can buy, the daily font, right? And what she said was once she opened up her space, got her papers flowing and her space moving, she now is back on track and focused and probably creating more fonts. I haven't talked to her for a few years, but that's what she said, is that, you know, not being overwhelmed is the way to be creative. When you're in overwhelm, you're not creative, right? So the Power Hour is ongoing training for you, right? We have bi-monthly sessions. We meet once an hour, 2 times a month, every bi-weekly or bi-monthly. It's not bi-weekly because some months have 5 books, but it's always two Tuesdays, right? And then you have direct access to me where you can ask questions, keep going, and I give you anything that you might need to continue. It's a community. It's a very small group. And you have exclusive access to strategies from my book and strategies from me. You get me 2 hours every month. The value is $600. Your investment right now for the people who haven't taken it is not $97 a month. It's $1 for the first month. Okay. It's my gift to you. So for a limited time only, you can jump into the Power Hour, check it out, see what you think. For first timers, it's only $1. And then after that, it goes to $97 a month. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or let me know. Now, what I'd like to do is open up the questions. And I don't know, Barb, are you back online? Are you back in your space? And do you have any questions for me?
Yes, I just walked in the house.
That's good.
Yeah, so let's see, I'll see what my video looks like.
There you are.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, it's been a week, and I missed last week, and then I tried to watch the video and I couldn't get it, so I sent a message to support, but that was just this morning, so I haven't heard back. It just kept saying private video, and I tried a couple different things, like I logged in, to organize and energized, and then tried to click on the link and it still wouldn't do it. And it's not even asking for a password. It's just, this link is private, or this video is private.
Okay, that could be an error. I'm sure it's an error on our part. I'll go ahead and send you the link so that you can actually watch it. And yeah, let me know, where are you at with your system and what do you need help with?
I've got the action system, which I did the first, when we did that, and that's as far as I've gotten.
Okay.
I haven't managed to dive into my files at all to get them redone. It's just, I did get my hanging files out of the basement because I had a big pile of those. But I haven't managed to do anything. It's just been crazy.
Yeah, I understand. Life happens. Did you say you haven't handled your piles, or you haven't handled your files?
The files. My piles are slightly better. So, yeah, like the dining room table hotspot doesn't really have anything on it. I'm pretty good about dealing with the mail when it comes in.
Good.
So that wasn't a real problem. I don't let that pile up. But there's always like client papers and things and pending and stuff like that. So at least that's kind of getting out of the way.
Yeah. And I can help you with your client files as well, like depending on how many clients you have and what kind of information you have on them. I'd love to help you with that because there's so many different ways you can do it. So are the client files the ones that are kind of mucking up your desktop?
Sometimes, because I'm a person, if I put things away, I don't pull it back out. So I'll often leave the file. I have like a plastic, one of those plastics, just barely expandable files that I put their stuff in. So I just grab it and put it in my bag when I go visit them. So I still have my notes and everything from them. So that's pretty much all I keep in my files. Most of the stuff is digital. I have a couple people that there's a little extra paper, but I have like a contract file sometimes separately, and then I just have their main file. So, but then, if I get home and it's like, oh, I need to do something, I'll leave the file out just so I remember I have to do something for them.
Okay. Yeah, and then if you don't do it, then something else gets piled onto it, probably.
Yeah. The next client that I went to, that I had something I needed to do. I can't seem to catch up. So
yeah, so what you can do, you can have quick tasks in your action system. You could actually put that client file right behind quick task. Because here's the thing, if you're not touching your action system, like touch one a day, 5 days a week, you're not on top of your game. But say you did put it under quick task and you touched it and a week, it'd be 8 days later, you found it. Would that have been too late to do what you need to do?
not always. I usually don't see them that often. So
Yeah,
it kind of depends.
So I would put it, stash it behind the quick task, and in 8 days, you will have seen it and probably done it. Right? If you set aside time to work your action system every day, 5 days a week, and working your action system is like 15 minutes tops, until you get into the project. But then when you're into the project, you have your project time that you can, actually dedicate to doing something big about. If that makes sense.
It does. I've just been overscheduling myself because I was traveling. And so then I've got too many out of office meetings, because I see my clients in their homes.
Yeah.
Um, so, then the stuff I need to do at home is just, or my home office, it just doesn't always happen. So
Because
that's how I get behind.
yeah, setting aside time to be in your home office is super important. I know last week happened to me where I was out almost the whole time. I was like, thank God, hallelujah, I'm back in my office Monday, Tuesday. So it allows me to catch up and do the stuff that I need to do. Do you have a dedicated day for being in your office?
I try to do Fridays. I try not to have meetings on Fridays, so I tend to try and do that. But then we also have a duplex next door and we're having a bunch of work done on it. So there's running around, like today I just picked up lights for the electrician to fixtures, you know.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah, yeah. I get it. Well, the most important thing for your sanity is to just structure yourself in office time, no matter what. And
yeah,
what happens is that life happens. And then, okay, Friday, I didn't get to do office stuff. Then you know what you didn't do, and you get to schedule it into the next week, so that it really happens. It truly, really, truly happens. Um, yeah, I actually had to bounce somebody because I knew that I had to get back in the office to do some things that had not got done last week. So, that's the whole thing. When you know what you're supposed to do, you know what you didn't do. That's
yeah,
right there. That's a kicker right there. And if you put the thing that you need to do in your client right behind quick task in your action system, since that's already built, that's going to remind you, oh yeah, that's something that I had to do. But of course, and this is what I have to say to everybody listening, the action system is not magic. If you don't work it, it doesn't work. So you got to work the action system and touch a folder a day, 5 days a week. That way in a week and a half, every single thing that has to be done. But I'm here for you as you build your system. What category are you going to go into next? Do you want to do your policies? That's kind of an easier one.
oh, that's like the like
Insurance,
insurance and stuff.
mortgage, yeah, all that good stuff. That's credit history score, Social Security. That's the easy category. So, you might want to just go ahead and build your policies files, and then just as you go through the files that you brought up, because you brought the files up from the basement or something.
Oh, those are just the hanging folders, the empty hanging, my back stock.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
Um,
it's like, yeah, and I've got files. So I have a 2-drawer file cabinet in my office, and then in the next room there's a 4-drawer cabinet, and I have one drawer in there. So that's kind of the policies and things I don't, my warranties or instruction manuals for things or whatever, that all kind of goes in there,
yeah.
and estate plans and stuff like that. Things I don't, euros and my passport.
And then you have the 2 drawers. Is it a lateral? I think I saw a picture. It's just a regular 2 drawer, right?
Yeah, I don't really have the room for a lateral, so I went with the 2-drawer. It's a cute little one from Poppin. And it rolls, which is nice because then I can, roll it around so it's facing me if I'm doing a bunch of work on it, or, you know,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, so the top drawer is my client files because those are the ones I hit the most.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually have my receipts underneath it because the top drawer is kind of all my business stuff, as far as
Okay.
like, I have resources for clients, like handouts or people's cards or for different things, so I can give them because they like paper.
That's your reference and resource section, which should be
Yeah,
easy.
so that's kind of that drawer for the most part.
How many clients do you have? Like 5, 10, 20?
Yeah, probably 10 active, more or less. And some of them I don't even keep. All I've really got is their contract because I just go and I do very little for them. I just open their mail and send it off to their son or whatever to pay their bills.
Okay.
Um,
So what I like to do with that is you could do a white tab called clients, right? And the white to demarket. And then you could split up the alphabet. Like you could go A through E, F through I, J through M, and then S through Z. And then if you have any individual papers for those clients, and you just put a little subfolder in there. Or if it's just contracts, just put them in there like that, alphabetical. That way they're all right there. You can find it very quickly, but it's not overkill. So you'd have like 5 hanging folders for all your clients, and that's it. And then
Yeah.
behind that, you'll have your reference files, which, site specific, whatever it is, time management or whatever you need to give them for their handouts. Or you could actually have, you could have a white tab called handouts. I had that at one point when I was speaking in person all the time. As a handout section that was a white tab, and then all my different topics of handouts were right behind that.
Yeah, and that's what I need to do is the dividing. I just been putting it all like in one hanging file. And so it's, I need to go through it and divide it up by Medicare and scams and what have you.
Right. Right. It takes time to make time. And I know that, things happen and we're short on time, but I guarantee you that every hour you spend doing this, you're going to get 10 back, guaranteed, all the time. So you just have to take the time to do it.
Yeah. And I've wanted to. Okay.
Yeah, you do. That's why you're in the class.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why you're in the power hour. So I'm here for you. And, throughout the power hour, I can help you with anything that you have, thinking of more creative ways to do your folders that you have, or as you're going, you can always start to Ask Kathy pile, and you can put that in your action system. So if you have weird things that you don't know where they go, just put them in the Ask Kathy. And then during the power hour, we can cover them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, anything else? Any particular questions? I'll get you the link as soon as we finish this. I'll send you the link that works. I apologize for that. I think I'm the one that did that. It's on my YouTube channel. And I thought private was good if they had the link, but obviously it needs to be public with link or something. So I'll get that for you.
There was something like at one point after I did the login to Organized and Energized and then went to the site and I like just copy and pasted the link in, then it popped up and it said, I don't know, something like the host or, you gave me permission, and it said something like sign in here, but I couldn't quite read it because I was on my phone and it was in a like blue on black. So it was like sign here. And then I clicked that and then it went to this video is private again. So
thank you. That's good to know, because that's something that was done on the back end by my customer service happiness person. So Janine, so the link that's in the power. Okay. That's really good to know. Thank you. So we'll have to double check.
And then I think I even went into the course and I thought, well, I'll just look at the other, last year's, and that was a broken link. For the old
course for the home office organization course.
I think it was this one.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me check.
There are recordings in there, but they're not the current one, right? Yeah.
Right. Well, we're replacing them. So as we go, we're replacing them.
Okay.
That actually,
maybe that's why it broke. So
yeah, I'm going to double check all that when we get out of here. I'll have Janine scurry it down and see what's going on with the links. I think the private thing is my issue, though. That's something I did. Good to know. Good to know.
Maybe you just have to put a password on it, and then, in the course page or in your email, you could just give the password.
Yeah, absolutely. We started doing that, for the actual emails to jump into this session, that everybody has their Google Drive with their password and everything in their email. So that helps. But on the phone, being on the phone is always a hassle, in my opinion. I hate doing it.
Oh yeah, I much prefer not to be on the phone, but as you can tell, I'm on the phone. I didn't make it to my office yet.
Hey, but you made it to class. That's good.
Yeah. Well, it's always just a little energizing to listen to things and be like, I'm going to get to it. I know I'm going to do it.
Yeah. So, do you have time set aside today to do anything for this?
No, I have another client, but I don't think she'll take too long. So I'm hoping I get home in time so that I can do some stuff.
All right. That's the goal, girl. Bare minimum, get your client things done and your reference things done. That'll be good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting that reference thing organized will help because it's kind of a
Mhm.
mess. Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't go in there and find stuff is like, ugh.
Yeah. And then you'll realize that, you know, a lot of that stuff you don't even use anymore. So
Yeah,
that's how
exactly.
it works.
Be
You
out of date. And
the old
so,
80-20 rule, right? So, do you want class next week? I'm
I
gonna
would, yeah, I mean, I'd love to at least have a check-in,
okay.
since I haven't gotten too far. So that would give me get it done.
Okay,
Right.
girl, I'm gonna hold you accountable to get your reference and your client files done by next week.
Okay,
All right. I'm gonna ask you that specifically.
all righty.
Okay. All right. Well, until then, we will sign off. That's pretty much it. And I'll see you at the Power Hour, and I'll also see you next week.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care.
Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
You too.